Alright, so another story that's out today. Slightly, more than slightly annoying. It bothers me actually. So Obama has vowed to preserve the Senate torture report in his presidential library. He's going to keep it there for 12 years. This report is essentially what shows some of the ghastly shit our government was doing to people, trying to get them to find a link between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. You gotta understand that. That's the important point. So it wasn't like we're torturing people because the clock is running. It's Jack Bauer, and he has awesome face hair and all this other stuff, and he's fighting terrorism. No, the Bush administration was torturing people to try to establish a link between 9/11 and Saddam Hussein, a link that did not exist. So, look, John McCain has said it himself. If you torture somebody enough, they say whatever you want them to say. They wanted those guys to say that. And they tortured that guy like 100 sometimes. And I keep saying to myself, if it works, why did it take 100 sometimes to do it? 1, 2, 100 and sometimes you had to torture somebody? Torture is against the law. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's even against Geneva Convention. When Obama came out after the Bush administration, and nobody wanted to say torture, even New York Times, and this bastion of liberalism, who you would think would be keeping, honest and keeping an honest record, the gray lady, would not call it what it was. Torture. They didn't want to say torture. They allowed the presidential line of, what did they say? They called it a different name. They gave it a political name. But it was, what is it? Wait, what is it? What is it called? You remember what it's called? They had a different name for it. They didn't want to call it torture. They wanted to call it,
like interrogation.
That's what it was. Enhanced interrogation. And they went with that shit. The New York Times. They were beating people. Some of the people who we tortured died during that torture. We tortured people to death. The United States of America tortured people to death. So, look. When Obama came out, he came out and he says, yeah, we tortured some folks. And he had folksy way about it. I don't think you can say torture in a folksy way. I don't think you can. I mean, I don't think you can put human suffering and pain that's at the behest of our government. And then for the grossest of reasons of saying, well, shit, man, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and there was no link between the country who attacked us. Yeah.
My bad.
My bad. Sorry, guys. My bad. Obama comes out and says we tortured some folks. It's a statement that belies the gravity of the situation. And
was that the verbiage he used?
That's the literal verbiage he used. We tortured some folks. That's how he said it. You can pull a video up on YouTube. Look, there's a problem with that. Look, here's one problem. If there is no punishment for the crimes of power, meaning presidencies or anything else for that matter, if there's no punishment, meaning whatever the president does, even if it's illegal by our own laws, there's no punishment. It's just, it's what it is. Mulligan. Sorry. Then what's to stop the next one from doing it? And what's to stop the next one for that just becoming political norm? Because now Donald Trump is coming in office. And so what? If he already says, I'm going to torture people's families. I'm going to torture people who didn't have shit to do with anything. That's what I'm going to do. I'm Donald Trump. And President Obama has already essentially set the precedent that said, we're not going to do anything about it. Because when Bush left, he did nothing about it. He knew exactly what it was. You think he doesn't know what's in that torture report? He's keeping that report silent for 12 years because he wants to let those people off the hook. And for the most part, those people have been let off the hook.
I thought I saw something in the news the other day where Bush was gonna be brought up on charges.
Yeah, there was something where a court in California was talking about doing it. Look, great. Honestly, I would honestly make the case that international courts should have did something about it. We killed 1 million people. I keep coming back to that point that it's a damning stat. I mean, it's upwards of 1 million people. And when you're talking about destabilizing the region, you can't tell me that what's going on over there right now has nothing to do with us. We set that place on fire. Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq. We're in Somalia right now. And we're bombing Syria. We're in Syria itself too. Yemen. One of our neighbors, Saudi Arabia, is bombing Yemen to shit right now at this very moment. We're complaining about Syria. Yeah, I'm sorry. Look, I told you in an early video, my bias is life. It is. It what gets me up when I get really annoyed when I see this. What is the value of a life? And how much of that life is extinguished when you kill 1 million people over something that they didn't do? They didn't hit us. They had nothing to do with 9/11. And no, how is there no punishment for that? How do you walk away? How do you become just President George Bush, former President George Bush, and not criminal George Bush? How does that happen? How does that happen? I don't understand that. That blows me away. My wife is like, calm down. I'm calm. I'm just saying. I don't get that. That doesn't make logical sense to me. I don't know how people walk around and think that that's okay. I don't care what he is. I don't give a shit if he's president or not. That he should be held up on charges. If he ever leaves this country, he should be locked up and brought to the Nuremberg trials type stuff. We torture people. You know when Nazis went in and they said, well, I was just following orders. They essentially said, no, that's not enough of a reason for you not to be put in prison or killed for what you were doing. So yeah, I don't give a shit if they're American troops. I don't give a shit if he's a president. That's not right. How do you cause that much damage? And how does the Democratic president who's coming in office say that's okay? And now that he said that's okay, let's see if it's okay under Trump, who said he's going to torture people's families. Let's see if that's okay then. Let's see if it's, the presidential norm that Barack Obama gave now persists to Trump. So good job, Obama. Good job. And one last story. This story hurts me to my heart to do, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I really gotta do it. Where is it? The Young Turks. And one of my favorite Young Turks, actually two of my favorites, Jordan and Jimmy. And they're talking about Keith Olbermann. And they're taking shots at the guy that I think are absolutely unfair. And I don't think they know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm going to play a little bit of it.
Because he hates Trump so much. What do you feel about the media and how they're treating this unconfirmed story based on anonymous sources inside the CIA? Even if you weren't anonymous and you're in the CIA, you're a proven liar. That's what you're paid to do. It's okay. You're a liar. You're in the CIA.
That's not fair either, by the way.
Spy. But B, if you're anonymous, an anonymous liar, that's actually, you can't even repeat that lie and call yourself a journalist. But that's what's been happening. What do you think about all this?
Well, first on Keith Olbermann, when I was a couple years ago when he was on MSNBC, I love the guy.
Yeah,
but watching him his most recent video, I got to tell you, if you turned around and you weren't looking, it sounded like Glenn Beck on Fox News. I mean, it was like deranged, the rantings of a lunatic. I think Olbermann in particular has, I don't know if he's just doing it because GQ is his little test case to get back on TV. I don't know his personal why he's going off the rails right now. But yeah, it's unhinged, and it's a little like Olbermann and a lot of these people.
Unhinged. Off the rails. Who the fuck are you? Keith Olbermann gave these guys the space politically to say the shit that they're saying right now. If it wasn't for Keith Olbermann, they would not exist. I guarantee you. Cenk Uygur was on MSNBC. And yeah, I know he left. I know they fell out. But at the end of the day, how do you think Cenk Uygur got on MSNBC? Keith Olbermann. He gave them the space to do it. And they're talking about he's some test case of GQ. Look, when Keith Olbermann first started, he was, for the most part, just he would read the news. He was do the countdown. And George Bush took office. And there were stories and reports and stuff that was coming out what George Bush was doing. And he said, I think he said he was like on an airplane or something. He was reading the news. He was like, what the hell? He said, damn, somebody needs to say something about this. And he said, he was like, oh, right. I have a show. And he went on his show and he gave this impassionate, emboldened special comment about essentially what Bush was doing was wrong. That simple. Opposition. That's what he said himself as. And his management called him one day and said, hey, could you do that again? And he was like, I didn't do it for points. I didn't do it for any other reason other than I felt it. It was bugging the hell out of me. I felt it. And so he did it again, special comment. And it ended up being not a special comment, but a commentary because of what was going on in the Bush administration. He wasn't making it up. He wasn't doing it because he was getting paid to do it. He was doing it because he felt it. So these two assholes, after X number of years of having the space to be able to say the shit that they're saying, now turns around and shits on the guy that gave him the space to say it. Oh, that's gross, man. That's gross. Look, I love the Young Turks. And oftentimes, I like both of these guys, Jimmy Dore and Sheridan. I like Sheridan. I like when he does the journalist stuff, when he goes on just rants about it. Yeah, no. So he may be right. Sometimes he may be wrong. Whatever. I like him when he does the news. Jimmy, most of the time I like Jimmy. This is not one of those times. And I feel they're being massively unfair. He has a different opinion than you, man. I don't think it's crazy for people to say, holy shit, they hacked our elections. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy for people to say Donald Trump is the goddamn apocalypse. And when he comes into office, he is going to have immense powers. And to be concerned by that. I am concerned by that. He's not crazy for that. And they're acting like he's unhinged because he's saying, look, this guy's coming into office and he can do some amazingly terrible things. We have $1 trillion in military. We have a surveillance state that's out of this world that has never existed before. We have situations where we have police that can shoot people and get away with it. That's a recipe for disaster, particularly if you're going to put a strong man in office. And you have them with every branch of government. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't think Keith Olbermann is crazy for screaming at the top of his lungs, stop Trump. I'm going to be resistance. I'm going to be the one who says I'm going to be a focal point. He's not crazy for that. He's not unhinged for that. He's just being a goddamn person who has a difference of opinion. Look, you do not define the left. And there can be difference of opinion and people still be quote unquote lefties. And this kind of shit where they're like shitting on the guy because there's a difference of, fuck you, man. That doesn't apply. That's bullshit. Don't do that. That's gross. That's absolutely gross. Recognize that the guy has a difference of opinion. And recognize the fact that there's context to that difference of opinion that gives him reason to. There's nobody in their right mind. I may agree with Jimmy for the most part that, yeah, the Democratic Party needs to be destroyed. But there's nobody in their right mind that wants to put Trump in office and have him having that many powers. He's a reality show star. You should be concerned. You should be very concerned. And they're on here shitting on the guy who's actually concerned. What am I missing? What am I missing? Somebody listening to this and may not who know who Keith Olbermann is may be like, well, Jeremy, No, Jimmy doesn't have a point. Jimmy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about in this one. Jimmy's just mad. And I understand his anger at wanting to tear this shit down. But he's wrong. They're both wrong. Completely. Factually. In every sense of the word. Wrong. Their point of view is completely wrong. Keith Olbermann is a lion. Keith Olbermann started this stuff. He's the granddaddy of this stuff. So yeah, pay respect to the person who made your career and who allowed you to be on here doing this shit. Alright. So ready now. And look, it's not that